Hello everyone, and today we are going to learn how we can do image reveal with a clip path, GSAP and Elementor. So if I scroll down, you could see that this image popped up, and I actually have lots of different styles around here. You could see from different directions: hexagonal, parallelogram, this way, star reveal, octagon, circle, and then these types of reveals you could see. And these are very easy to do, so even if you are not familiar with coding, you will be able to do it. And we will be using GSAP library, which is JavaScript library, and it is very easy to do even if you are not familiar with coding. So you could see that this is the GSAP site, and it is free to use. And you could see they have such a cool animations that you could do very easily without any issues. But this video we are just going to work with the clip path, and also this is another site that I want you guys to show, because this one allows us to easily create clip path. For example, if I want to have clip path like this, hexagon, or just have some custom design that I want like this, and then I can just place it however I want. But before that, let's just start with creating our animation. So first thing first, I want you guys to know that we actually need to reference these things, which is GSAP. So basically we will be referencing GSAP script from their own site. And remember that if for some reason this Cloudflare CDN goes down, the animation would not work and your site would break. But it is very rare for Cloudflare to break, because it's like the biggest biggest data center. So to just initialize our script, we just need to copy it in our HTML file, and if you want to just run it to your whole website, you could just add it in your custom code or stuff. But I'll show you how to run it on that singular page where this animation is, so that the code does not run on your whole website and only runs where you have used GSAP. And also another thing, that let's say if you added this code and it is still not working, it could be that your website is already using GSAP, probably installed by another plugin or something. So if it's not working after adding this, try removing it and it might work. So let me just start it to get the understanding first. So first of all, I'm just going to add let's add a container for now. I'll make it, let's say 100 VH. Let's make it black in color. Okay. Let's add an image. I'll make it place in center. And for this one, I'm going to use a square image because it just works nicer on square images, but it's okay however you want to use it. So this one is this big, so let me just reduce the size to something like, I guess, 35. Yep, looks good to me. Now let's do is start our code. So let's add our HTML widget and then place it at the bottom. So the best way to add it is at the bottom of your site. So let's say you have created your whole page, let's just add this HTML widget at the bottom of your website or page, because it's good to load your JavaScript at the end, so that it does not wait to load like heavy, because JavaScript says website heavy. So it's better to place add it at the end so that your website loads first and then the script loads. It's just a good practice. And then inside of this, I cannot explain to you guys complete GSAP, and I'll actually be making video on complete GSAP soon. So let's first get started with the first thing that we are going to do. So first we are going to add our GSAP script, and then we are also going to add the scroll trigger script. Basically what scroll trigger allows is that the animation would not run unless we have scrolled to that location. So you see, the animation should only start when we have scrolled into it. If you don't add scroll trigger, the animation would play and there would be no animation showing until because you have to scroll there quickly. So we want the animation to only play when the image is on the screen and not already play when the image is off screen. So let's add this one. I'll just copy it and then first of all place it at the top. Now another thing I want you guys to know, that let's say if you have multiple HTML widget like this, maybe you wanted to organize it differently. So what you need to do is you only need to add this once. You don't need to add it always, because simply this is just taking the script from the location and running it on your website. That's all it's doing. So make sure you only add it once. to your website like this and not add it again and again, which is why I was saying that if any plugin is adding GSAP, you have to make sure that you don't add this and straight up start with the code. Now for this image, we will add a CSS class. So let's add a CSS class. Let's call it DMimage. You can call it anything. It's your choice. In this one, let's say what I've called like DM hero image around here, but you could call it anything. So if I do inspect and select this one, if I go to this one, which is the widget, if I try to search, you could see it has multiple classes. So there are some classes that is added by Elementor, and this is the one that we have added. You could see DMimage. Okay. And basically, if you want to add multiple CSS classes, all you need to do is add a space, and then you could add like DM hero, DM first, or something like this. It depends on how you want to do it, but I'll keep it single right now. And don't worry if you don't know coding, it's very easy to do, which is why GSAP is like very powerful. It just makes it like easier to do the animations. So now we want to control this one. Okay. So we are just going to type style so that we could add our CSS, and then type .DMimage, whatever we have typed around here, which is CSS, and then we will type is transition none. So the reason why we do transition none is Elementor by default adds transition all. So it by default Elementor adds this code to everything on your website. We don't want it because GSAP should be the one that is controlling our animation. So if you add, or if the transition is added, it just does not work well. And add important like this. Okay. And the reason we add important is it just forces it to use transition none. It might work without important, but it's just a better practice to add it around here rather than not adding it. And let's say if I want to do anything now, rotate 36 degree, I could do it. You could say the CSS just works. So let me check the code what I've done. Okay, so this is what I have done for now. Now let's say I want to add a clip path of trapezoid. Let's say this one. Okay, so whatever it is, I can simply just copy this clip path and then paste it here, and you could see the same shape has been showing around here. Now one more thing, I want you guys to learn what clip path or how this code works. So let me just start, and you could see we have x-axis, y-axis, and it is very basic. It is something that you have learned in school, so don't worry. Simply we will add a container. So no matter what we do, our container is always going to be rectangle in shape. Okay, so no matter what size we make, it is always going to be a rectangle. Square is also a rectangle. So you can see around here that no matter if I just add a container inside of this one, it is always going to be rectangle. No matter what size you use, it is always going to be a rectangle in shape. Okay, so whenever we add a rectangle, which is this container, this is how X and Y works for clip path. Basically, in school we learn like left is negative, right is positive, and then top is negative, top is positive, left bottom is negative. Just forget about it. It just works differently on here, and it's very basic. And we work in percentage. Okay, so we can also use pixels, but percentage is better because it just works irrespective of the size of the container. So this one is 0%, 0%. So this point around here is 0%, 0%. So this point around here is on x-axis. So it should be 100%, comma 0%, because on x it is 100%. You see, this is the 100% of our rectangle, and this y is around here, so it is 0. So if we go around here, we can see we are still on the x. So this one is 0% in our x and 100% in our y. Okay, and then this point basically would be 100%, comma 100%. And we are talking in percentage value, right? So obviously this is like 100th percent of the size in x-axis and 100% of the size in y-axis. So this is basically how the coordinates work for the clip path. So if we go around here, you could see that we actually have 20, 0. So you could see that it is at 0, but it is 20% on the x, 80%. So we go from left to right, so in clockwise direction, okay? So this one is like on 80%. So you can see from this to this, it is 80% and y it's 0. This one, like I said, it is on 100, and this one, like I said, is 0%. And no matter which design you use, it will always be similar. So you could see 50, 0. So this one, so from this point, right? Because we go clockwise, so this would be our first point. Never mind, it's not the first point. It's this one, first point around here. So we always go like this. So this is the 50%, 0, stuff like this. So just know this is xy, xy, xy. You don't need to remember because we are just going to use like this clip path maker around here. So let me just select our trapezoid. And you could also see this is how the code is working. It's just showing the clip path, and you could see it is not possible to select anymore, because this is where the selection was, like this button, and it gets hidden by the clip path. So you have to use your navigator to select your image like this if you want to. Now we learned how the clip path works. So basically if we choose like different points in we just choose like different points, and then anything outside that point is like not visible, it gets clipped out, and anything inside is visible like this. So what we simply do in here is that you could see what we are basically doing. We are just making the clip and clip part just increase in size. So basically we are making the mask just expand so that it shows like the full screen, full image. So how do we do that? First of all, let's go into a clip path and just make it full like this, which is full like this, and then let's copy it and then paste it around here. And you could see absolutely nothing happened because this one is showing the full screen size that we want. Now to explain to you guys how GSAP works, okay? Now this is like a short tutorial for GSAP. So we will add script like this. So in GSAP we have from and to, okay? So from and to. Okay, so for some reason the GSAP docs page is just not loading. So I'll just explain to you guys, okay? So we have something called from and to. So if we go around my code, you could see that I have used, let's just look at this one. You don't need to look at this one. We have used from, okay? So what it does is it uses this values. So it goes from this value to our CSS values, okay? To this value. So let me quickly explain to you, okay? If we type gsap dot from open bracket, in curly bracket we just add the same class that we want to animate. So we want to animate this class, right? So I added that one. Add a comma, open curly brackets, and do enter. So just remember this format. It's very easy to do. If you cannot remember, just copy it. It's very simple. I'm simply going to type scale 0 like this, and you could see the animation happening already. Sometimes it might not work in the editor, so don't worry about that. And we are going to add a comma. So scale 0 comma, and then we will do opacity 0 comma. We will type duration, and let's do 2 seconds like this, okay? So we did scale 0, opacity 0, duration 2 seconds, okay? We don't need to type seconds or anything, and make sure you add comma around here. Now inside of this one, we need to give where it should go. So it should go from this value to this value, right? So let's do scale 1. And remember, like in CSS we use semicolon, and in GSAP we use comma like this. We want opacity to be 1, and that's all. So let me just do preview changes and let's see what happens. And you could see that it animated for 2 seconds. Okay, weird bug just happened. And you could see it just works nicely. We can also do is we could add some delay so that it does not do instantly. So let's do 2-second delay. Okay, the docs also loaded just now. So you can see we have to, from, and from to. So to from basically works is it goes, so if we choose from around here, it will go from this values to your CSS values. So it will go from this value to your CSS value. And let's see if I turn this to 2, what it will do is it will go from this value to your this value in GSAP values. So basically whatever you use around here decides which one is going to be your initial position. If we use from like this, it will go from this values to this values. But if you use to, it will go from this values to this values like this. And if you use from to, you could choose like both values, but I just like to use CSS like this. You could say from to, it's I cannot explain to you everything in this video, so I'll just use like from for time being. Okay, and if we added a delay, let me refresh this one. So it will show nothing for 2 seconds and then this will show. So what we simply need to do is we have this clip path, right? So this is our clip path. We are going to make this top location, which is the first location, be at the bottom like this, and this right location be at the bottom like this. So that when it goes from this value to the next value, it just goes up like this. Okay. So let me copy this clip path. Let me just do like this. Okay. Now remember, we want this one to be here and we want this value to be here. Now obviously you could use like this editor to do it, but sometimes you could see right now, if I try to bring this one up, it is actually bringing the blue value around here. You could see, and this one is bringing the yellow value around here. But by default, we have used this way. You could see the red is around here and then green is around here. So sometimes if you try to use like, if you try to like copy this value after making stuff like this, you could see that red and green is at the bottom. So it would not work, simply because this is moving like the different position that we want. We actually want to move our red and green. You could move anyone. It's not like fixed one that you want to move, but just make sure that the position that you want to move or the point that you want to move is selected at the right location. So one easiest way to do is, because we know how this works right now. So because we now know how this works, all we simply are going to do is we are going to keep it like this and then animate the top 2 points so that it goes like this. Okay. So it is showing no image and then it starts showing the image like this. It's very easy to do. We are going to bring the top left point at the bottom and then green point at the bottom like this. Now make sure you select the right value. Okay. So we know the first point needs to go down, which is 0, 100. So let me just copy this one in a notepad so that we could see it nicely. Make sure we add some percentage. So we know this one should be at 0, 100. So that it is not showing anything, and the green point, which is the right point, should be at 100, 100. Okay. So let me just only copy this part. We are not going to copy this one. So let's copy this one. Go to our from part, let add comma, and because we are using JavaScript, it does not allow to use like this this dash, right? We cannot just type clip path. So we need to type clip and then P capital like this, clip path, and then in the quotation we need to type this one, and then we don't add a comma at the end of it. Okay. So remember that in this way, in this one, we only add commas to like the first two, second last one. We do not add comma at the last, whatever the last thing is used, we do not add it. Let's say if I wanted to add something else called like stagger, which I'll explain to you in like the GSAP tutorial. we will be using comma, but as this is our last thing that we are using, we don't do that. Let's see if it works or not. And you could see it does work, but we don't want a scale, so let's remove the scale. I also don't want opacity. We can just remove this one and let's see how this goes. And you could see the animation is happening. Now let's say I want to add some easing, right? We don't want it to be like so weirdly going up. We can actually go to this website, and then if I go to the docs, click on docs, and then go to the eases around here, we actually have different ease that we can use. Here you could see this is how we type the ease value. So we can use whichever we want. So if we use like power 4 out, it will increase the value instantly and then get slower. We can change this to in. We could do both in and out like this. Let's do power in and out. Okay, so let's just copy this much. And then in the is, in the comma, we just type, in the quotation I mean, we type this way. Let's update. Let's see how this goes. Sometimes stuff like this happens, so let's just refresh it. It just like sometimes when we update it does not work. And you could see how this animated, right? It was not linear. It was using that graph. So you could see it is like having a same speed, then it just increases the speed and then slows down like this. You could see this ball to visualize. This is how it would animate. Okay, so like this. If we do something like this, you could see it just bumps up. There's also exponential like this. So depending on what you want to use, you will have to like, you see there are random stuff that you could do, but this is how we have animated. But the thing is, it will only work when it is let's say it will work when the page loads, right? So right now it is kind of annoying that we cannot see the image around here, and that is the only like my issue that I find, that because the JavaScript runs sometimes on the page live in the editor page, it gets harder to edit. So you can just press Ctrl A and press Ctrl// to like remove all of this code, and then you could just refresh it. If you refresh now, this code is not running. You could see right now the code is not running, so we can easily see the image that we want to edit. So make sure you edit everything and then add the code, because it gets like really annoying because you cannot see it on in the editor. And if you want to just remove all this, all you simply need to do is type Ctrl/ again by selecting all like this. It just went out again because I just like removed all the comments like this. So let me just add another container on top of it so that I can show you what the issue is right now. Let's do an update. Let me just make the code run again. Let's do update. Let's do a refresh. Now you could see we have a blank page which we added on the top, and this one, and this is our next page. Oh, sorry, not next page, our image section. So if I just refresh right now, let's wait for like 2 or 3 seconds. So like 1, 2, 3 seconds, something like this. If I scroll down, you could see our image is already visible, but we want it to show only when our screen is around here. So we want it to be visible when this image gets visible to our viewer, right? Because the animation is working. So if I refresh, you could see the animation is still working. It's just not on the viewport. So you could see it's not on the viewport. So what we can do is, let's go to this one. And this is where we use the another script which is called scroll trigger, which is again GSAP script. So the way scroll trigger works, so if we go around here, you could see I have added the scroll trigger like this, and this is what you actually type. Okay, so let me show you guys. On the top, you don't have to type like on the top, but it's easier to see. So we type scroll and then T capital. Make sure it is like 100% same, right? T capital and then everything else. We add quotation and we open and close the curly bracket like this. Let's add a comma like this. Okay, and if you add this at the end, you might not need to add the comma because this is considered as a property like this. So you could see this one is at the end, so we are not adding a comma around here. So if you add this at the end, you don't need to add the comma. You could see right now around here I have not added the comma, but if you place it on top, you have to add a comma around here like this, else it would not work. The best way to do is just copy this code and go in ChatGPT and just type like what's wrong with this code, and it will show you what's wrong with your code. So we want to have a trigger. So what our trigger should be, it should literally be this image, right? So when this trigger is basically which location should be considered as our trigger point for the animation to run. Okay, so we want this image to be used as a trigger, so that when it comes in the viewport, it triggers the animation. Okay, so we can simply just type the same thing that I've typed around here, which is dot like this image, and let's add a comma. Let's add a scroller, and here we type body like this. Make sure you type body. Okay, it's usually going to be body, so no need to worry about anything else. You could see how we added DM image and body. Okay, let me just refresh and let me show you what happens now. Let's refresh. Wait for a few seconds, and if I go down slowly, you could see nothing's happening, but as soon as the image showed, it did the animation. But I don't like that it happens as soon as it like releases around here. I want it to be a bit above around here something. So what we can simply do is, I'm going to do is type markers and then type true. And what does markers do? Make sure we add comma at the top. So let me show what markers do. Okay, these are just for visualizing and nothing else, the markers. You could see now we can actually see a text called scroller start. You could see around here, and then if I scroll down, you could see that there's scroller start, there's start and end. And as soon as we like move our mouse on, like when this two like cross, it triggers the animation. Okay, it didn't trigger instantly because we have a delay of 2 seconds added like this. So if I remove the delay and let's do an update and let's check it out. Let's go down. You could see it instantly ran as soon as this like crossed path. So I want this scroller start to be a bit above. So let's do is, here we type, let's type start in quotations top from top. So we want from top, I want it to be around 60%. So let's type 60%. You could also type bottom 20% or something. So from bottom it would be 20%, but you could also type like top 80%. So top 80% and bottom 20%, it's same. You're basically saying the animation should start when it crosses like, let me just update and show you guys. It's easier to do it that way. So you see it didn't show because I forgot to add a comma around here. You could see a simple mistake can actually make the code not run at all. So right now you could see it is from top, it is 60%. So from the top of this page, it is 60%. If you would have typed bottom 40%, so from bottom it would have been till 40%, which would same. So now you could see the animation is still not running, even though the start is around here. You could see as soon as I scroll this one, the animation ran. Okay, so we can actually play around with the values where you want the start and scroller to be for just this image, and you could have different scroll and trigger for each single image that you want. So let's see. And another cool thing that I want you guys to show you is called scrub. So if I type scrub true and add a comma, now remember one thing, that in scroll trigger we only add the thing about scroll. Okay, so for the scroll trigger, and outside this we add all the animation that we want. So like we want duration, we want the clip part to change to this, from this to this, because we have added from, right? So from this to this. If we would have added to like this, let's see what would have happened. Okay, so if right now we have added 2, right? So let me remove the scrub, to be honest, to show you guys before adding scrub. Now we have added 2, so it would go from this this data to this data. So let's see what happens. So you could see this is from this one, and as soon as I scroll, it goes out like this. So based on that, you could choose from or to, like this. And now I'll add scrub true to show you guys what scrub does, which is very cool. And you could see that as soon as I scrub, okay, we need to make some more space below. And also you could see there's scroller start. There's actually scroller end around here. You could see it is showing around here, but it is getting hidden by this top bar. So I'm also going to add an end. And we don't usually need to add end if we are not using scrub. Okay, so you usually use end, start. You use start for without using scrub too. But if we are doing scrub true, we need to add end, because that way we can control it more. So this is top 60, right? So it is around here. We can make it like, so the scroller end should be around, I don't know, like top 30%. Let's try it. Why not? Make sure you add a comma, else it would not work. Let's refresh the page. So you could see we can now see the scroller start and scroller end. This is the start end, and you could see what's happening. So based on my scroll, it is animating. So when it crosses this much, it starts animating like this, and when it ends this one, it is full like this. And there is way to like make sure that it does not, change back to its original location if we go up like this. So there is like lots of way to do it. I'll explain it in the GSAP tutorial, not in this one. But you could also do stuff like this, where it animates based on your scroll by using end, top, and scrub. So I'll just remove end and scrub for now. I'll also remove the marker. And I'll also explain to you guys, because if you see in this one, it is not just changing the this text. Okay, it didn't show around here. It is actually changing the image size too. So you could see, if I go down, you see it scales down, the image gets scaled down, so it creates this nice effect. Else it looks just like very basic. So you could say it just looks very basic, but it would be cool to have the image loading, okay, or image scaling down. So if we go in our inspect element, we can see that. So how do I show you guys? So this is our DM image. So let me just show you. So you could see this is our DM image that we have added our custom class to, and inside of this we have something called img, which is image. So we just need to make sure that the image inside of the DM image CSS class, we can control it. And for that, I'm simply going to type again GSAP from. We are going to type dot DM image, and inside of this I want to control the image, okay, so that we could scale it. Let's add a comma. Let's open curly brackets to double this stuff. Let's add semicolon. like this. It just copies stuff around from here, like scroll trigger, which is good. Here we could just use the trigger as DM image because it's like the same location. It doesn't really matter. If you want to have trigger on top, a bit of top, or have some another element have as the trigger, you could change it. But for now, we are just going to use this one. And also, if you want to remove the markers, if you have removed like markers around here, you will need to refresh it. It is kind of annoying, but just bear with it, right, for time being. Now we need to go in here and then add the CSS for the DM image. So let's type DM image img, and so it should go from this, right, from this to this one. So the final should be scale 1. So scale 1 is basically the default size that we are using. We have to make sure we add the transitions none and add important. Make sure you add semicolon, not a comma. And we can change the transform origin to be I guess left corner, so that it scales from this way, this location. So for example, let's say if this is the image, rather than scaling from the middle, we can make the scale happen from this location. So it would scale like this. You could see we can choose like whichever location we want, but I'll choose the left top one. So let's type top left and then semicolon to change it like this. Now in here, we will now add our animation that we want. So I'll do scale something like 1.2. So it scales from 1.2 size to 1 size. I think that's all that we need. Have I added anything else? Yeah, duration. Oh, where is it? Okay, around here. So just duration and ease, right? So ease, I'll keep it same like this one. Let's type duration of the same time, which is 2 seconds, and then add our ease around here, which is same as this one. Let's do an update. Let's refresh now. And you could see we had a scale effect happening from the left corner. Maybe it might be more visible if we do something like 5 for time being. It is scaling from the middle. So let's see why is it happening. Okay, so the reason why it's happening is you could see there's no quotation needed. So let's remove the quotation. This is literally how coding works. We have to just, Google a lot when you make mistake, or just go in ChatGPT and be like, what's the mistake? And it will find the location for you or what the issue is for you. So let's say 1.5 and refresh now. And you could see the animation looks nicer. And it is similar what I've done in all of this code around here. You could see all of them have like literally same code. Simply in hexagonal, what I've done is, rather than it being from the bottom, so if we choose hexagon from here, rather than all these points being at the bottom like this, what I've done is I've made all this point in the center. And to do it in the center, it's very easy. You just have to make everything around here to 50%. So everything would be 50% and all points would be in center. So if we go in this code, you could see that everything's 50%. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there should also be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now because of that, it scales from the bottom. So you see it scales from the bottom. And for the parallelogram, I've made both of these points be in the middle like this point in the middle. So it scales from the center like this. Scale centers from the center. This is also from center. circle is from the center, and you see the circle clip path, it's a bit different, but it is still a clip path, and everything is like very same, like all of this is same. In this one, we have just made all of the 4 points at the left corner, and then we just make the left point be up, the right point be at the right, and top right be at the top right, like this. So let me show you how you can just add a code. So let's say if I want to add this animation, all I simply need to do is copy this one, DM hero image 6, go to my image and then give it the same class DM hero image 6, and then I need to make sure I copy this one, go to my CSS, let's type it, and let's copy this much, and let's copy it in a script like this. And let's say if I update it, and let's see how this goes. And you saw the animation happens like this. Pretty nice way to do it, pretty nice and easy way to animate, and all the code is in my website. You could check it out. Support me by using the links in description to get Elementor Pro and any hostings. So make sure you like and subscribe for videos like this, and thank you for watching.